Hi everyone, this is the Artie Dans here from the Asian Film Fans and the Artie Dans channels, and welcome to this review of the Hong Kong Chinese drama film One More Chance, also known as Don't Call Me God of Gamblers, and also incorrectly known as Be Water My Friend. Now let's check out what this film's about. Set in Macau, a man hopelessly addicted to gambling suddenly finds himself looking after a teenage son he didn't know he had when his ex-girlfriend reappears and asks for a favor. She will pay him $50,000 per month, enough to pay his gambling debts, if he will take care of him. However, the boy has autism, and he initially has some difficulties in connecting with him until one evening he runs into some trouble with a loan shark who changes his whole aspect on life and looking after his son. My guess is that a lot of you have seen the title of this movie called Don't Call Me God of Gamblers and assume that it was part of the God of Gamblers series of movies, or in fact any of the Chow Yun-fat gambling movies from the 80s, 90s and early noughties. It's not. And in fact, gambling plays a very small part of this movie, probably about the first 30 or 40 minutes. Now, worth noting, there's a huge cast in this film. Well, huge for Hong Kong. We've got Chow Yun-fat, who's the obviously main draw card of the film, Anita Yung, Alex Fong, and Andy On. They all appear in this film, and it's good to see Andy On in another film this year. He was also in Ride On, the Jackie Chan movie, playing kind of a bad guy. And in this movie, well, I don't want to spoil his character, but it was great to see Andy on screen here. Now, they all do a really good job. However, I'm starting to think there's an issue here with Chow Yun-fat because he really does overact a lot of the lines. And it feels like he's trying to bring back a lot of his performances from the 80s and 90s, and it doesn't quite suit what's going into this film. But we have to give a big kudos to Will Orr, who plays Yun, the autistic son. Now, it's not Will's first movie. He's been in a handful of movies, including a very popular Hong Kong film from 2021 called Drifting, which I haven't seen yet. This is the first time I've seen him, and I really enjoyed his performance. I thought he was fantastic as the autistic boy, really sold that character to me. But again, the problem comes back to Chow Yun-fat's overacting. And another thing is, the first 40 minutes of this film, Chow Yun-fat's character is really horrible. And it's really hard to connect with him. He is hopelessly addicted to gambling. So all of the scenes at the start are revolving around him gambling and the kind of person that it turns him into when he gambles. Now, all of that's deliberate. It's not transparent either. So if you're watching this film and you're thinking, geez, he's a really horrible character in that first 30 or 40 minutes, there's a massive redemption arc. If you watch videos from YouTube channels like Filmento, you'll understand about redemption arcs in movie and what they do to characters. And this is a kind of 180 that's done on Chow Yun-fat's character. We've gone from really loathing him to then kind of falling in love with him. But always in the back of your mind, and it was in the back of my mind here, that I thought he was just going to snap at any moment and go back to the way he was. But then you have to kind of think, this movie is a mainland China co-production. So, there's always going to be elements that are frowned upon in movies, and gambling is one of those elements. So the movie uses gambling to set up the fact that it's evil, and that's it. It doesn't continue on anything else with gambling, and in fact, the last hour of the movie doesn't touch on any gambling at all, other than the bit with the loan shark. That's about it. It's a very standard Hong Kong film, as far as I'm concerned. In fact, I would probably go as to lesser, just not as great as some of those Hong Kong dramas that have come in the 80s and 90s. Like I mentioned, it doesn't glorify gambling at all, and it doesn't link to any of Chow Yun-fat's other gambling films. This is purely a family drama with a couple of comedy elements in it. It takes a very sad turn, and again, it's very melodramatic. It telegraphs what's going to happen very early in the film. So you kind of can get prepared for that. And thus, the writer knowing that he's telegraphing what's going to happen, they really kind of lay on some of the emotional scenes towards the end. Funeral scene especially is a bit heartbreaking. And when they go back to the apartment and the reaction of the characters in that, it's it's done really well. And again, it's helped by William Orr. I don't think it's helped too much by Chow Yun-fat. But I had a lingering question in my mind. Would this movie still be enjoyable if it didn't have the cast that it did? And this is a question that was posed to me by the person that I watched the film with, who doesn't think that with the same star power, this movie would be as attractive as a lot of you who are going to watch it think it will be. It's also worth noting there's some really poor CGI in this film. There's the intro scene with the casino chip rolling down the street. I don't know if it's meant to look that bad, but it looks terrible. And you kind of think, holy shit, is this what we're going to get ourselves in for this whole film? Is this the kind of visual quality that we can expect? Luckily, the movie doesn't rely too much on CGI until right at the end. And then, of course, you get this scene that you know is CGI, but at least it doesn't look that bad. In the end, it's a very saccharine movie, and it's kind of hard to recommend it beyond 3 stars. And that's the best I'll give it. I was borderlining 2.5, and at one stage after watching it last night, I was actually in a really positive mood, thinking it's a 3.5 star film. But on reflection, when you take away the saccharine elements of it, and you take away Chow Yun-fat's overacting, what you're left with is a very standard family drama that doesn't do anything different, but just has a couple of nice characters. And in fact, if you're old like me, you may be inclined to think as the film starts that this is going to be a Rain Man type movie with Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman, with that whole autistic guy helping his family member win big at the casino. So that doesn't happen. So that's good. That there's no link to Rain Man there. But anyway, it's not a bad film. It's just not a film you should take very seriously. I'm going to award this one 3 stars. But if you've seen it, and I know a lot of you are going to want to see it because it's been a very popular trailer video on our channel. If you've seen it, what did you think of it? Please leave a comment below. Like this video if you enjoyed this review. If you've got any recommendations for me, always happy to take them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this, and we will catch you on our next video review.